Chapter 8 of the Me Addiction is called the Me-Go. We're playing off of the idea of ego. What we really challenge you to look at in this chapter is the idea that Adam and Eve thought that they knew better than God how to live life. And so they did something that no one had done before since they were the first human beings. They made a choice that said, in essence, I know better than God how to live this life. We want to help you focus on that. Where do you do that in your own life? And what is the result of moving away from God and making our own decisions? Has that really worked out very well for you? Usually it doesn't. And so we challenge you to be more God-centered in what He's asked you to do and how He's directed you to live life than to look to yourself for those answers.
Chapter 8, the Me-Go, or our egos and pride. This chapter really talks about the ideas we have about ourselves, the idea that we are right and other people are wrong, that we have certain expectations, how things ought to run and work, and if they don't work out that way, then it's not our fault, it's some other person's fault, or it's a situation's fault. And so our pride gets in the way of living lives that are healthy and allow us to thrive and live to our fullest. One example I can think of is when I was younger, much younger, I used to think that my parents didn't know anything. And, you know, I was right and they were wrong, and I was going to change the world and make things different. But as I've grown older, I've realized that their ways and their thinking have been correct. The choices and the advice that they gave me have been really beneficial. And so I've come to think of them as wise rather than as foolish. And the same way in this chapter, the more we look at God, we realize that He really knows the way. He really knows what's best for us, and that our pride and our ego can get in the way of that healthy and good relationship with God.
In chapter 8, we start looking at ego and what its role is in the me addiction, and I don't think any of us struggle with ego, do we?
I certainly don't.
Well, you guys with hair probably do.
You know, one of the symptoms or displays of ego really is pride, and pride causes us to compare ourselves to other people. And we see it everywhere in our work, in our families, in church. We compare ourselves constantly. Am I as good as? Am I as rich as? Am I as whatever as the next guy? How do you see this, Reg?
Well, I think about the prodigal son. I think that story comes out in the book in Luke 15. Just that tension between the brothers, and both of them were blind to their father's love because of their own pride. And that seems to play itself out big time, especially in relationship problems. Maybe it's with a boss, or it could be with our siblings, or it could be with our mates. And pride seems to be where me addiction really creates a wedge in relationship and brings us down so that we really struggle. I'm also, the connection between chapter 8 and chapter 9 to me is electric, because chapter 9 is called Excuse Me. And I see excuses as the way we try to deflect blame, and it's really your fault. It's really the situation's fault. It's not my fault. And that's always the lie of the me addiction. We blame it on a situation or blame it on someone else. So those two chapters really, this is really the meat of the book in many ways. And I think that anyone that reads it is going to just see themselves in these two chapters played out.